Hello, welcome to another webinar from the Mississippi Library Commission. My name is Shelley Ziegler, and I am a library consultant here. I want to thank you for joining me today in this webinar about serving the underserved Mississippi's incarcerated patrons. Wherever you are in the future, whether it be morning, afternoon, or evening, your participation and interest in this topic is very welcome and very much needed. So with that, I did make an agenda. I like to do that just to kind of set the groundwork for what we're going to be talking about. So the things we're going to be discussing is serving the underserved. Like, what exactly does that mean? Who are the underserved? And why should libraries even be involved? Why should public libraries get involved in this endeavor? And what, if you did, what might these library services look like? And as well as we're talking about reentry services. What exactly does this mean? What could you do? And then finally, okay, Shelley, it all sounds great. I'd like to be part of it. Where do I start? I am a definition person, and I'd like to start with the definition of underserved populations. A very vague and general definition is a group of people who have limited or no access to resources. This actually covers a lot of people in our communities who do have limited access or no access wherever they are residing. Some examples of these individuals are individuals with disabilities, the elderly, especially the homebound, individuals experiencing homelessness, and our LGBTQ individuals. This particular webinar is going to focus on the incarcerated and the formerly incarcerated. So let's go with that. I first want to talk about the ALA's Office for Diversity, Literacy, and Outreach Services. This is a wonderful organization and resource for libraries or librarians that they know there's a need, they want to help, but how do they get started? Where do they go? So I did put the web link on this slide. There's also a resource page at the end as well. But if you go to this website, in particular, I want you to look at their LibGuide on libraries and incarceration. It is a wonderful LibGuide. It is so helpful. And it has categories for librarians, like resources for librarians who are wanting to serve those that are incarcerated. And then also has a tab that is resources for reentry. So for those that are incarcerated and getting ready to re-enter society, so I say it, there are a lot of resources there. So I really do encourage you to check out their website and their LibGuide in particular. Some of you may remember several years ago, I think I have it in my notes somewhere, I created this program called Moving Forward. The goal of this program was to provide resources for those that were formerly incarcerated. Another word for that that's used a lot is decarcerated. Giving them information that will help them successfully re-enter society and stay in society. That's what we want. So there was a collection of materials, titles for each library system. So I believe it's about 20 titles. And my hope was that by receiving this collection of reentry books, that it would motivate and help libraries to start or highlight a reentry collection. And many libraries have. I've received very good feedback from this. So I want to kind of pick up there. But so this graphic moving forward, I just wanted to do a little sidebar because I'm always so happy with Canva and proud of how easy it is. Because if I can create this sticker, which is what this was, that was put in every book, then anyone can. So that was my little Canva sidebar. But the moving forward project, so it was successful. It was not meant to be an ongoing project. It was meant to assist libraries, and the titles I picked for that project actually came from another library system that did that they do very excellent, thorough library and information services for the incarcerated, and I think it was called Fresh Start. Yeah, I believe so. But so anyway, that's where kind of got me thinking about creating such a collection of titles. So anyway, just a little backstory. And here are a few sample titles from that collection that every library system received. Oh, I don't know if I told you, but it was in October of 2022 that program, that pilot program, I suppose, was started. So it's been a minute. So here are just a few, and if you would like the entire list of titles that I chose, I'd be happy to send it to you. So anyway, a lot of these books are, and this is important, are by individuals that were incarcerated. It's very important to acknowledge people's journey and their experiences. And oftentimes that makes them an expert on that particular area. So for example, it was Behind Bars book by Jeffrey Ian Ross. If someone has actually walked in the shoes of people who are decarcerated and they write a book, your patrons that are decarcerated are more likely to find value in that because that person was in their shoes. They know exactly what they're talking about. So just a little tidbit there. The Mississippi Humanities Council, they are sort of how I got into providing book clubs and library resources for incarcerated facilities here in Mississippi. So I started at Parchman. I won't go into the whole story, but started at Parchman doing a book club. And then I went to and I did two there. And then I went to the Delta Correctional Facility where I am currently doing most of my work. And I provided a reentry class where I basically just talked about all the things in libraries that would be beneficial to someone who is reentering in society. And it was not difficult, because basically you were talking about your library system and everything it can do for someone who is coming out into society and they may have been locked up for a very long time. So I got involved with the Humanities Council and doing the book clubs, and they do wonderful, wonderful work. Carla Faulkner is my point person. She is the program coordinator, but she's specifically, I believe, the program coordinator for the incarcerated book clubs. So if you are thinking that you might possibly want to approach your local incarceration facility, Carla is the one you should start with, because you want to find out if there is already a book club happening there. But that doesn't mean you can't do one, because I know at the Delta Correctional Facility, there's two of us. We have two separate book clubs. And we have like names for our groups. So my book club is called Freedom Readers Book Club. And I did not title it that. I asked my participants, who I do call my ladies because I do have all women at the Delta Correctional Facility. I asked my ladies to choose a title, and they listed all kinds of things, and we voted on it. It's important in everything that we do that the people that we're talking about and that we're trying to help and that we're working with, that they have agency, that they have a say-so in what is going on. So it would not have been appropriate for me to just think up a title. I mean, I could have, but their buy-in might not be as high. So contact Carla and first see if there is a book club in your service area. And again, if there is, that's fine. That doesn't mean you can't do one. But there are also many other things that you can do to help provide information to those that are incarcerated. And I would start by talking to Carla, and she will help you brainstorm on ideas. And I would be very open if anyone wanted to brainstorm with me as well. I'm not saying I can give you all the answers, but I can at least give you my experience and the things I have learned. So let's talk a little bit about the benefits of book clubs in correctional facilities. I asked my ladies this question because I wanted this information to come from them, not from what I feel is the truth. So here are some things that they told me. They said that being in a book club provides empathy, that they are more empathetic towards others in the book club because they know them more, like they know them as humans now. It does help communication skills. Not everybody has good communication skills. I don't care if you're incarcerated or not. So it does, having that structured. I try not to have a real formal book club myself, but there is structure to it. Having that structure and knowing like when it's appropriate to say something, when it's not, will help anyone's communication skills. And it promotes positive connections with not only the others in the group, but also with me. And I am definitely seen as an outsider when I'm at the correctional facility, but seeing that there is someone who cares and who cares enough to spend time with them and listen to them, that positivity and that positive connection goes really far. Books, as we know, provide escapism, and a correctional facility is probably one of the ultimate places that you need some escape. I've had many of my ladies tell me that they read 8-10 books a week, and it's mainly, they like reading, they like stories, but it's mainly because it provides an escape. I was having a conversation with my group last week, and one of them was talking about how noisy it is, like in their, they call them pods where they are in their pod. And the other, there was this another lady, and she's like, you know, when I'm reading, I don't even hear all that noise. It all goes away. It made me feel good that she had the ability to tune out all the noise and chaos of her environment. And regardless of what she was reading, she could be reading People magazine for all I care. She was able to not be there, not be present. So sorry, I get a little passionate about it. Sharing a common experience. It's a known theory in psychology that if a group of people, small, large, what have you, go through a common experience. It could be like trauma, it could be a very positive one, but you feel bonded to that person and more so. And I think that's very important for anyone, whether you are incarcerated or you are out in the free world. Freedom to express their feelings. It is probably not going to come as a shock to you that people who are incarcerated cannot express their feelings as they cannot freely express their feelings. Frustration and anger may be perceived as something else. Whereas if we in the free world had frustration and anger, no one's going to lock us up and, put us in isolation for it. They're not going to be scared of us, for the most part. So they don't have that freedom to be vulnerable, which is so needed in our world. So I have noticed that as I've been working with a core group of ladies now for 2.5 years, many have come and gone. Many have, as they say, gone home, and new people have joined. But I have seen so much growth. There's this one lady in particular that came and she would never speak. She gave me like not an evil stare, but just like she didn't care. Like she didn't care what I said. It took a year. It took a good year, and now she shares such insightful, personal things that are related to both the book that we're discussing, and we often just to have an open discussion, which I feel is important. To see her come out of her shell and actually smile at me, like, I don't know, that's big for me. And then a book club promotes listening skills. That's just obvious because if you're communicating better, then you're probably going to be a better listener. But we can all probably work on our listening skills. So this is an older photo, but I can't take a lot, there's a lot of restrictions in a correctional facility. I did get permission from all of these ladies and the warden. This was back in May 2023. We had read The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, and they loved it, BTW. And so I was able to get this one photo, and I would say about half of the women are gone now. They've gone home. So they have they have such joy. Like if you are not regularly going to a correctional facility, you probably would anticipate people there to be, sad, angry, depressed, and that all happens. I see that. But when we're in our book club and our discussion sessions, this is what I see. I see these amazing ladies. I want to tell you about another resource. I'm all about giving you the resources. So this is the Mississippi Reentry Resources Guide. I have spoken about this in a couple other presentations. In my Moving Forward presentation, I believe I did. And then I did a presentation at the MLA annual conference, not this year, but last year. And I went into more detail about this. But so this is a free, informative online guide, and it's broken down into sections: national, statewide, regional, and county. Within each of those tabs, you have information on so many resources. Where do I go to get my ID? Where do I go to get my learner's permit? Where do I find my public library? in housing and mental health services, amongst many other services. This guide, and I've said this to many librarians during one-on-one conversations, it should be like, I feel like it should be bookmarked at the reference desk, or even the circulation desk, because all kinds of people need this information. It's not just those that have recently been decarcerated. So I encourage you to go check out this website and look at this guide. And maybe even, it's a long guide. I believe it's like 90 pages or so. But maybe print out the area that the the section of the guide that is related to your area in particular, and make that available to people. It is just some really, really good information for anybody. Okay, so let's talk in more depth. Uh, you're like, I thought we were already talking in depth. We're going to talk in more depth about what kind of services would be beneficial to the incarcerated and formerly incarcerated, and what your library can do. Well, one easy thing is donating books to organizations that will then provide those materials to the incarcerated. We're fortunate to have one here in Jackson called Big House Books, and that will be on my resource page at the end. There's also Books to Prisoners, which you will have to ship the books to them. There may be a discounted rate, I don't know. And then they send them to people that are incarcerated all over the country. So those are two options for you. The second one is create a reentry collection. When people come into your library and they see a display or a highlighted collection of materials, and that speaks to them and they see themselves there, then they'll start to see your library as their library. I hear a lot from librarians that, well, we don't have those kind of people here. We don't have people that speak English as a second language here. Yes, you do. You just probably aren't seeing them in your library because they don't see themselves in your library. They're not being reflected. So I want to define reentry. It's a transitional period after being discharged from a correctional facility. This is a very scary time for people that are incarcerated. I can't remember the exact stat on this, so I'm going to wing it. But I read something once, and I've talked about this before with people, but someone who is incarcerated, the number of decisions they can really make about their life, their day-to-day life. For example, what am I going to have for lunch? Do I feel like another cup of coffee? Do I feel like watching a movie? Okay, they can't make those decisions. They have a very limited number of decisions. And when they get out, their decision making perspective is just, I want to say tripled, but it's not even tripled. I believe I read somewhere that a regular human in today's society makes about, I want to say like 600 decisions a day. Do not quote me on this. And someone who's incarcerated may make 6 to 8 decisions a day. So imagine going from a world where you're incarcerated, you have no say in just about anything, and then you're discharged. And yes, it's happy, it's wonderful, but then you have all these decisions to make. The overwhelmingness of that just blows my mind. And I still think about it all the time ever since I read that, because I think when I make silly little choices about my life, people that are incarcerated aren't going to do that. So it's a scary time for them. And many people go back to prison because it's just too much for them. So as libraries, it is our job to help people. They are our patrons. They are our communities. Help them re-enter society and stay there. Okay, off that soapbox. Another idea is to donate books to your local correctional facility. Before you do this, I wouldn't just pull up with a truck and a bunch of books. I would check with the warden on rules and regs as far as like what types of materials they can have. Usually it's just about the format. And usually it's just that they can't have hardback books, but that's changing a lot. But I would double check. And on the Mississippi Department of Corrections website, there is information about every correctional facility in the state and the contact information. But if you need further assistance on how to quote unquote get your foot in the door, please contact me and I'm not a magician, but I will help in the best way that I can. And there's more. Let's talk about some other things you can do. You can provide reentry information, be it at the correctional facility, and I understand not everyone is comfortable going into one, or at your library. So you could, like I did, I went in, I did like an hour presentation to, I think it's like 50, 60 people that are incarcerated. And I basically just talked about all the great reasons you should get a library card when you get out. But another thing is you could do it at your library. So you can promote it for those that are reentering society. And when you do that, okay, let's say nobody comes the first time. That's fine. But if you promote it well, you're going to get the word out to those in your community that have been decarcerated and very well might need those reentry skills. And so they may not come to the first one, but if you keep it up, they'll come. Offer computer classes of very basic skills. Now, I am not saying that everyone who's incarcerated does not have digital knowledge or information. There's many there. They know the ins and outs, whatnot. But I can't forget this video I saw, and it was a man who had been incarcerated, and he was out, and he went to his first like computer class at his local library, and it was a basic class, but this is how it did not work for him. Like the very first thing was, okay, we're going to take your mouse and go here and here and here. Well, this man had been incarcerated for many, many years, and he did not know what a mouse was. So think about that maybe when I say basic, I mean basic. But of course, you're going to read your audience, and if they're more proficient, then you should adapt as well. And then finally, create a welcoming environment for all of your community. And this is something that I want to say about any of the underserved populations. If you create, it doesn't even have to be an event or a program, but if you just show, and again, I'm going to say it, by your displays, by your book collections, that they are part of your community and that the library is here for them as well as everyone else, that will go very far. Okay, so the Mississippi Reentry Resources Guide is just amazing. I alluded to it a bit, but I would like to go into it just a little more. I have the website for you here, but it it provides essential information and resources, like to not just people who have been incarcerated, but also to their family and friends, those that support them. Um, I make it very public knowledge that I have a family member who has been incarcerated for 36 years. And as a family member, it is tough. And there have been times when I've needed to locate information, get numbers, get things like that, get addresses for him. And this resource guide, he's not in this state, but this resource guide would have been very, very helpful. So it's for anyone, really. And that's why I have it highlighted. Anyone interested in advocating for, serving, or learning about reentry services in Mississippi, this is helpful. So again, please check it out. So let's talk about what we've talked about. So let's see. We have defined the underserved populations and the library's role in serving them. We have defined reentry services, what that is and what that means. We have discussed various resources for libraries on how you can provide services to those that are both currently incarcerated and are decarcerated. And then we talked about the Mississippi Humanities Council and their role in incarcerated literacy. I reviewed the Moving Forward project and that collection of titles. We've talked about book clubs and their benefits, which is, I just touched on it. Like I just gave you a few softballs. There's so much more that people get from book clubs. And then I showed you the reentry resource guide, which again, I've really urged you to have that bookmarked. If you do, the more you use it, the more you see how beneficial it is. And then I have some helpful articles, just if you maybe want to do some more research and, oops, sorry about that, do some more research and educate yourself a little bit more. Here are some articles. If you have any trouble obtaining any of these articles, let me know and I will get them for you. I'm sure there is a way in Magnolia for almost all of these, but if you have any trouble whatsoever, let me know and I will get you a copy of the articles. And then I have some more helpful information and links. I talked about the Books to Prisoners program, where they send free books to people in prisons all over the United States. Here is the, again, the website for the Mississippi Reentry Resources Guide. I'm kind of beating a dead horse with that, but I really want people to become more aware of it. I think it is underused. And then Big House Books, which is the organization here in Jackson, but they send books to all incarcerated individuals over the entire state. So it's not just in the Jackson metro area. And they do it for free. They get donations, but as far as like postage and things like that, like that's all donation. So a person who is incarcerated, for example, if there is a particular title or a genre they want of a book, all they have to do is write to Big House Books and request that. I'm not saying that they'll have it right away, but they do pretty good. They do really good work. And they send it to the person like free of charge. So it's excellent organization. And then I want you to know about the Mississippi Department of Corrections, which is often referred to as MDOC. Here is their website. It is the official website for the state and our correctional facilities. There are a few things in there that you might want to pay attention to. There is a very helpful family and friends guide about just as far as what your loved one will be experiencing, what the expectations are for them, what the expectations are for you. Like when you come to visit, these are the things you cannot wear, things like that. There's an inmate handbook on there. So if you want to read into that and see kind of the more of the expectations of someone who's incarcerated. There's also, and this is very important, a public records request like button. I don't know, maybe it's called something else, but link. And you can request public records. Maybe you need some on someone you know. I don't know. It's not my business. You know, you can ask for what you want. And then there is an inmate search, and this is true of all states. You can go to their correctional facility, Department of Corrections website, and you can search just about anybody that is incarcerated, and you would find out why they're incarcerated, when their expected release date is, and I believe where they are. So that might be helpful for those of you that might need that information. So that is what I have today. My caveat is this is a lot, and it is not easy for everyone to provide these services, but it's also not as hard as you think it would be. People who are incarcerated are just people. They made a mistake. Sometimes they made terrible, life-altering mistakes, but they are people. And if you remember that, and your heart's in the right place, then you really can't mess up. So let me know. Let me know if I can help you in any way. So yeah, that's what I have. And I hope you have a great day. And again, thank you so much for watching this webinar. It's very important.